Hi everyone, it's Nicole Wood, a Wildlife Bio Gal here, and I'm live with Steve Dudley, who goes by the handle of. It's really it's so not obvious what your
It's
handle
so
is.
not obvious because it's just at Steve Dudley _.
Yeah. So we're here at the last day of the AOS SEO conference here in East Lansing, and we've had an absolutely amazing time. It's just been crazy amounts of fun for sure.
Brilliant.
And as you can see, we probably do look a little ragged for the last day. Lack of sleep and everything is what happens when you come to these conferences. So, but we're going to talk to you today a little bit about the science communication that we've been seeing here, especially science communication via social media during the conference, and kind of our thoughts about it, and then maybe ways that we can also improve for the future too, because Steve's amazing at science communication. I mean, all the initiatives that you've done with IBIS and the BOU is just absolutely amazing. So
Thanks,
maybe you
Nicole.
want to tell them a little bit more about your background and stuff, so everyone knows, in case
Yeah.
they actually don't follow you on Twitter, which
Yeah.
I don't know, why wouldn't
Well,
everyone follow you? Yes.
Exactly. If you don't follow me, I'm sure you're going to be following IBIS Journal,
Right,
which
exactly.
is IBIS_journal, which is the British Ornithologist Union. And I run the BOU. I've run the BOU for 20 years, and all the grey in my beard and hair shows a little bit about that. And we came onto social media 5-6 years ago, and it was one of those things that you sort of look at social media and think, yeah, is that for us? Is that not for us? And then we had a meeting with our journal publisher, Wiley, and I just said to my contact there, can you get someone in just to give us a little lowdown on social media, what we want to do, where we want to go with it? And I rocked up expecting a little 10-15 minute thing. 1.5 hours later, everybody around the table was asleep. My eyes were popping out, and I was thinking, now, yeah, you're talking my sort of language.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent about 6 months, do what you sort of do dummy accounts and just getting a feel for things and seeing where it's going. And there was no ornithology back in 2011. There was virtually nothing on there.
It's amazing just 6 years ago how much things can change, especially when it comes to the whole social media forefront of technology. It seems to switch so fast.
Exactly.
I couldn't have done what we're doing right now even 3 years ago.
That's
I think.
right.
Yeah.
And the platforms and the technology all coming together over the last 5 years. I mean, they talk about the digital age, and I mean, this is it, and it just moves so quickly. But we've developed ornithology on Twitter in particular, Facebook, we're also on Instagram. You can find us under the IBIS Journal title everywhere. But in that early days, you go onto Twitter and you have a few followers, and we really had very, very low expectations of what we could achieve.
Mm-hmm.
As a small society working from Britain, what could we do? Was there any people out there? And the best thing we did was set up the hashtag ornithology.
Oh, and that's been amazing. So I see it all over the place.
It is just used by pretty much anybody now, and we looked at the stats on that a couple of years ago. And in 2013, it was reaching something like 150,000 daily audience.
Wow.
And that went up to about 300,000, 350,000 in 2015. So it's just growing and growing.
Can you imagine that audience here at the conference? I heard it was about 670 people here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just crazy that you can pull in that much just through your phone.
I think a lot of people here, the offliners, the people that aren't on social media and don't engage like this, I think they really don't understand the extent of the audience outside of the conference.
Mm-hmm.
You can run an event and your audience outside of the conference can be 10, 20 times that of the people sat in the conference itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's the thing I like about doing these kind of things, is it helps broaden the impact of the meeting or the conference that you're at, because it can be very limiting and enclosed. It's just the folks here. And
I think anything is. I think whatever your discipline is, whatever your research is, you tend to get consumed by it, and it's very difficult sometimes to look outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose you arrive on social media, and the first thing you do is you form your own bubble around your lab, around your institute, whatever.
You're your in-person network that you know.
Of course,
right.
Yeah. But then with the hashtags, and this is where the hashtag thing on Twitter in particular comes in, and I drive this endlessly. I think some people get really bored of me going on about hashtags.
You have to keep it. I mean, it's so ephemeral that you have to, if you don't keep plugging it away, people are going to forget and stop using it. So.
Exactly, and find new tags to use. Once you go in on a tag like ornithology, if you're into seabird research, use the hashtag seabirds. You know, there's all these new ones popping up. So we've got sub communities being built all the time within the wider ornithology community.
Right. Yeah, I mean, just, you know, sometimes simple things is, you know, put a bird on a hashtag that you have, or like, you know, clothing fashion that just happens to have a random, like, I feel kind of bad. I didn't bring any of, like, my bird clothes to the conference. I'm like a lax ornithologist when it comes to
But
that.
this took off last year in Washington at the NAOC 2016 gig. You know, someone just randomly photographed some guy wearing a T-shirt and then with the hashtag put a bird on it, and we've added on that. We've got hashtag birdwear, we've got hashtag bird gear if it's not something that you physically wear, and it's just, you know, it brings a real fun element to a conference where everybody's sober and research, but as soon as you break out, you know, at coffee times and in the evenings, you know, everybody relaxes and chills out. So that relaxed and chilled out mode just extends to social media.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you might as well enjoy what it is you're doing and have a little bit of fun with it, because it's going to show through in your science, and it's going to help get people who are listening to your science to be that much more excited about it and more likely to engage with you.
I think the people that enjoy themselves the most here are definitely the Scicommers.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, not that we're biased at all, but I do think we are a pretty fun group. Hey, hello, Paris, France. It's nice to see you. Yep, in the middle of the mitten here in Michigan, so...
Hello.
You can tell a true Michigander by if they show you where they're at by holding up their hands.
Okay.
So we're currently right about here today. So, but yeah, so let's talk about like maybe some of the things that we've been seeing with the conference so far with the social media. We had the Scicomm symposium that we did that you got to lead off that whole symposium with. So how did you think that the symposium went? Like, what are your impressions?
So the Tweeting Bird Symposium, and what I liked about that was last year at NALC in Washington, you had the workshop, you had the Scicomm workshop. That's been extended to this year as a symposium. I was absolutely thrilled that you guys invited me over to talk to it.
We really, half of it, I mean, we wanted to like be able to share your awesome Scicomm with everybody, but we also just want to hang out with you.
Yeah,
too,
well, that's pretty cool because I want to hang out with you guys too. So, but that single event, that for me, it sort of cemented that Scicomm had actually arrived in our community good and proper, because it's as far as I'm aware, it's the first Scicomm symposia anywhere on the planet in an ornithology conference.
Yeah, that would be interesting to like see if we could somehow like verify, because that would be like nice to be able to say this was the first, we did it here, and you know, not only would it be good to like help, you know, push that for later on to be able to get other conferences to do it, but to be able to give, you know, AOS, SEO, like a little bit of credit for like being, you know, the folks that are like, yes, let's do that. So
yeah, no, I think I think we should use the Tweeting Bird hashtag symposia, and we should use that as a brand and move it around. You know, I should try and do something in Europe. We should try and do something maybe in Australia. You know, wherever we're getting these pockets of Scicommers building up. I mean, in Europe, I mean, BOU and myself might have been ahead of the game, but we've not got the concentration of Scicommers that you guys have here. So I learned that at NALC last year with 2,000 people in total, and we had a really great Scicomm village there. That's been built on this year. You know, the Scicomm village this year here is we've got nearly a quarter of the number of people, but the Scicomm village itself is probably 3 times as big as what was in Washington. Yeah,
because I mean, you look at the picture that we took last night we had a tweet up with all the Scicommers, and I know not everyone was there, and it was twice the size of the photo from NAOC at least.
I think there was 13 people in the tweet up last night, and I think there's at least double that in total, because half the number of people were in sessions and couldn't get to us and what have you. So that's the thing about parallel sessions all over a conference. You can never get everybody in one place at one time.
No, you can't.
You know.
Well, and that's a nice thing with Toto too, is you can always come back. You have that like location that everyone can come to, so it like centralizes what's going on, so everyone can still be a part of like almost kind of the collective mind, where you can keep seeing like all that amazing stuff that's happening.
Exactly,
even if you can't be together.
And believe me, folks, when you get to my age, that collective mind on a hashtag is needed, because I spent a lot of time going back at looking at stuff that I've just forgotten about.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I feel the same way too, just because with the lack of sleep and the just craziness, like even if I got a full night's sleep at a conference, there's just so much going on that even if you're like the most like, you know, you are like where you can just straight up like read something and have it memorized for good, kind of like that, straight up memory. Like, you still aren't going to be able to do everything or remember everything that happens at a conference. Like, once you get, I think, over 500 people, it's just impossible.
Exactly.
So
yeah, exactly. I actually find that if I prepare little, I do more, because if you, I tend, especially at big events like this, and doing Scicomm around it, it's probably easier to wing it and do it on the hoof and respond.
Yeah.
You can have some things that are set there. I mean, you're different. I mean, you spend days scheduling the whole conference, right. So you can't live with that sort of information in your head. So you've got to do it in advance.
Right.
But I think,
like things like this, like we just talked, like once we got here, we're like, all right, let's make sure we get this set and we'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then everyone can have a little bit more gauge of what their schedules are going to be once they actually get to a conference, because sometimes it's kind of hard to like truly plan out what you're going to do ahead of time.
Yeah. I think the Scicomm community as well, I think we always know what we want to say in a presentation or in a poster pitch or whatever, but I think you'll find that many of them they'll have the notes, but they'll probably have less notes than people that do Scicomm, because we can wing it more and we can move, and when you get a question from an audience member or something, we're less likely to be thrown, because we're used to be thinking ahead all the time, because we're always thinking about communicating what we're doing.
Yeah, I very rarely like practice my talks anymore. I just go up there and have fun, like, because I know roughly about like what I need to do, and it's just like, if it goes perfect, great. If it doesn't, I don't really care. We'll have fun.
But who knows? Who knows what perfect is?
Exactly.
You only have the image of perfect in your own mind. The audience member, they won't notice if a slide doesn't appear or whatever.
Right. Or you miss that one line or whatnot.
Exactly.
Because I figure, like, if I don't get everything I want to say, well, there's always Twitter that I can, like, tweet stuff out afterwards, or if people have questions and weren't quite able to get to everything, they can ask me that way.
Yeah, and that is the extension of that. So when you're giving a presentation or you're presenting a poster here, and people don't make it, your conversation usually goes on, and it can go on for several days, because some people might be trying to get to every single symposium or session that they can do, and it's only on the way home, they're on the plane or the train or in the car or something, and they start catching up, and so we saw that from NAOC last year, that there's this lag for several days where it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling.
Yeah, like I know I'm gonna take Sunday off to completely decompress after. Off. Yeah, I can't believe I'm doing that. I've been told like my phone is gonna be like hidden and everything, it actually will be good. That I have not done that in a very long time. Anyone who knows me, the phone is usually always attached to me. But after that, the following days, it's going to be good to go back through, and I'll probably do a storify of the entire conference so we can kind of like just catalog everything and see all the amazing stuff that happened.
Well, you and I both did storyfies after NAOC last year, and if I've got the time, I'm going to be sat in an airport terminal for a few hours, so I might find the time there. But storyfies, if you've not found Storyfy, have a look at it. Both Nicole and I did one around NAOC 2016 last year, so all you've got to do is put our handles and the hashtag NAOC 2016 in. You'll find both of them. I actually looked at both of them this morning, just to sort of see if there's anything happened last year that hasn't happened this year here. And it's not. We've done way more this year.
Great.
So it's always it's always we're always going up. And so Storyfies are just a fantastic way of actually just bringing together a whole event, and you can build a story in chronological order of the build-up, people tweeting, hi, we're on our way, getting excited, and then the arrival, meeting all your friends again, making new friends, just the wonderful. Really recommend.
Right. Yeah. So, like, when we're talking about the symposium, is there, like, any talks or topics that you would have liked to see cover at the symposium that you think would have been beneficial to the attendees here?
No, I think the balance that you guys had. So we had a mixture of how to do, how to build audience. I think for me, Joe Latimore's talk is probably the most powerful of the symposium, because it really does make you think about what you want to do. There's no point just arriving on a social media platform and just going, hey, here I am. You have to have some sort of strategy. You need to know who you want to talk to, and you need to think about how you're going to do that. So I really enjoyed Joe's talk. Mine was probably the most advanced bit, looking at the altmetrics of research articles. But I think you know, the people in the room were of mixed abilities.
Right.
You know, so I think there was something in there for everybody. And I think when you tie that in with what you did last night in the round table, the Scicomm round table, I think when you put those two things together, I think you've got a pretty good whole.
Yeah, it was nice to be able to have the round, because we really didn't have a ton of time for questions. We were able to fit in that little question session in the middle, but it still didn't seem that it really like satisfied everyone. They wanted to be able to talk for that much longer. I think even with the round table, like, we could have talked for
we could have gone on
several
all night.
hours. Yeah,
quite easily.
If it wasn't that we like were all hungry and wanted food, like maybe that's almost something that we should do for next year, is see about if we could arrange like some sort of pizza like they do with the Meet the Editor thing. Just like bring pizza in and like everyone, all right, chill out, relax. We got food and let's just sit back and talk. And
I tell you what, if you put food and drink in the room, you'll get twice as many people as well. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm making sure I write it down right now so I don't forget.
Yeah. But I think the other thing is that when you're in symposia, you're right that you've got less time, but you've also got the audience that are coming in and out for individual talks.
Right.
Whereas with the round table, we had an hour and 15 with the majority of people in the room with us for all that time.
Exactly.
You know, so you can. It's not just a question and answer session. You get a discussion flow. And then
I love that discussion. That's where like you get those ideas really flowing.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, and then we had we had the impromptu. Let's put it up on the screen, looking at the TweetDeck dashboard and things like that. You know, so that I love how dynamic these roundtables and workshops can be in that respect.
Right.
Which obviously you can't deliver that in a symposium environment. So I think the two together provided a really good platform here.
Yeah, because it is nice to still have that structured format that you do have at a scientific conference, but the social media is it's so just laid back and chill. So to be able to have like that kind of setting too, I think like really you can showcase some of the amazingness with Scicomm that way and really get that.
Well, I think one of the things, really important things for me, is the fact that there's still a lot of research community don't take social media seriously. So to actually have a conference that delivers social media in a symposia session, that in itself sort of puts it right on the agenda. And then what I'm delivering into that social media mix is the actual research side. So it's actually tracking the social media activity through the altmetrics. And as you saw from my poster this year, we've now tracked that altmetric activity through to citations within ornithology.
Right.
So now we're beginning. We've taken social media from what people wrongly perceive to be just a fun thing. We've
yes,
now,
it's not all cat memes, everybody.
Yeah,
yes.
That's right. So,
although there's nothing wrong with it, because we still love all of our scientists out there that post pictures of their pets and other things. It is super delightful.
I do it too.
Yeah.
But what it does is it cements social media and science communication into the research community at the level that they want to hear it at, and that's the research level. So I think we need more people like me coming up and actually doing some research within the community around this, looking at social media metrics, altmetrics, citations, and how these things all work together. And once we get enough traction on that element, I think that's when we're going to start seeing more and more of these doubters really taking us seriously.
Yeah, when you can have like that verifiable proof showcasing what social media can do for you in your career, it really does help. And yeah, I mean, it's nice to be able to see that, if I do this, well, my citations are going to go up. Well, that's going to help my career because that's going to look good, on my CV, and it's
this is it. I mean, it's not just stuff that you can put on your CV or resume. It's stuff that you can put in applications. There might not be a box for it, but stick it in at the end that you do social media outreach and engagement, and you might have a particular paper that got a very good altmetric score, or you might have had some tweets that really flew and got hundreds of retweets. Put them in. Don't be afraid to include them and just say this is how I communicate my science, either within community or outside of the community. It's all there. And certainly in Europe, what we've got now, very quickly, we've now got research funders putting in the application forms sections on your outreach engagement, and that's now being measured by altmetrics, because these people are funding your research and it's all public money. So they want to ensure that the public money is going to projects that are actually being communicated to the public to say, hey, this is how we're spending your money.
Which makes sense. It seems like there's such a lack of science understanding, at least here in America, in the recent years, and so to be able to like really make sure that those researchers are finding ways to get that science out to the public so they can understand it better, I think is super important. And if it means having to force them to do that through those grants that they've gotten. I think that's a great idea.
I think one of the interesting things on my poster earlier in the week, I had a graph that showed in the last 2 years that social media use, news coverage, blogging on science was all going up and up and up. And that is against a trend and a backlash of certainly the last couple of years where science is being it's been dumbed down by the politicos. You know,
Right.
both in Europe and in America, the politicians are dumbing down science.
Yeah, when they bring a snowball into like, the House chambers and stuff.
Yeah,
It's just like,
exactly.
come on.
You know, so we're actually, ornithology is bucking that trend. I mean, birds are sexy. People like birds. They've got them in the yards. So
Right.
so you can actually we've got a subject that people can easily connect with.
Right.
So that's helpful. But if you look at our graphs, everything that we do on science communication is bucking that trend of the overall dumbing down of science and less science coverage from many other areas.
Yeah, so what are some things that you think could be done from this conference to the one that's going to be in Arizona next year for AOS that we could do to improve science communication, or through social media, not only via within the conference, say having maybe 2 symposiums or things like that, but
Yeah.
also what we could do to outreach out to other people outside the conference while we're there.
I think the first thing is you might have to change pizza to tacos.
Oh.
But
We could do pizza and
and
tacos.
tacos.
Yeah.
Let's be multicultural.
Right, exactly.
So it's one of those things that when you hear, and I mean, my head's still buzzing, and we're on our last day of 4 or 5 days here. I think you've been here a day longer than me.
Yeah, I got here on Monday,
Yeah.
so it's
So-
been a
so
long week.
it
A very
is.
fun week. I mean,
Yeah.
trust me, I would do it every week just because I
So-
enjoy it so much.
maybe every other
other
week.
week. Yes, I can have a
I agree with
recovery
that.
week. Yes, yeah, I
But
agree.
so I often find when I'm asked those questions in situ at the time, and you think, oh God, what? There's got to be some ways that we can actually do that. But I tend to think of this in about a month's time when I actually sit back, relax, and review all my notes and all my tweets. What I do is I go back through the hashtag, I go back through my own tweets, and then I scribble down all the different things that I want to take forward to my next event. There's maybe we could have more tweet ups because not everybody can make the one single tweet up.
Right.
Maybe we should have a Scicomm meeting point with a backdrop, and maybe a booth.
Or maybe just a straight up official social, because every time we've done the tweet ups, it's been we're doing it kind of on the side, not through officially.
Yeah.
And so maybe if people actually saw it in the program, they would be more like, hey,
I think-
what is this thing?
yeah.
We want to go
Yeah.
check that out, versus it's only hitting the people who are on Twitter.
Exactly.
So
I think
that way it makes it more inclusive.
Yeah, and now you've just hit onto my pet subject of the last year or so, and that is how do we talk more effectively to the people that aren't on social media. Not just about educating them, but actually getting them to talk to us and coming to events. So I think having something like a booth at a conference that maybe the village, we have a Scicomm village here of say 30 people. We can each take it in turns just to man that booth, and so people in the conference have got that one-stop shop that they can go to talk to people about science communication and social media.
I like that idea. Yeah, because they can really have get more of the in-depth discussion one-on-one and
Yeah.
have their questions
I mean,
answered. And there's enough of us around here that we easily could do it.
I mean,
so.
some of the I bet like me, some of the best discussions you've had are those people that have found you the next day in a one-on-one, 10-15 minutes, really intense about what they want to achieve. Because obviously
Right.
in symposium and workshop, you've got to be broad, but they want to be specific about what their research project, their lab. And you can only do that on one-to-one. So that, I mean,
Right.
I've spent a lot of my time between sessions just sat in the lobby, and people I think have realised that's where I am, that's where they'll catch me. And usually within 5 minutes of sitting down and trying to do a bit of work, someone sat
Yep.
next to me, and we're away again talking about another project. So I think having a booth. And this should be part of the AOS, This should be just built as part of their booth, a double booth, and we can have a communications outreach side, which is always manned by one or two of the Scicommers throughout the whole event. And I think that worked really well here.
Yeah, I wonder if that would work with Scicomm Monday, having a booth there and just having it a sign say,
Wow.
Let's
Yeah.
broadcast your science to the world. Because right now I'm only doing it through people who are on Twitter, but maybe as a way to engage folks who aren't on Twitter
Yeah.
to show them, hey, look at what we can do. We just sent this out to, some couple hundred people real quick, and
I think that rocks.
Yeah.
I think what you need is a plasma screen at the back showing some of your recent broadcasts.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Just have that there, and then you have a sign-up schedule so people can actually sign up throughout the event,
Right.
so they can spend 15-20 minutes with you. And the other thing is get the AOS to give you a dedicated quiet room that is always going to be available for you, so you can do stuff throughout. And I think if you built that into the outreach and engagement program, that is a brilliant way to actually reach the offline community.
I think so
fantastic.
too. Yeah, because the outreach that we get from things like this, it's not just scientists watching this. It's a lot of just different audiences out there that will engage with this and be able to really tap into science. It's great.
I think the other thing that people don't realise is that live broadcasts are also archived. So it doesn't matter if you don't have any viewers at all at the time of broadcast. I know that you're going to push each of the broadcasts again and again and again. And if you're on Twitter yourself, you can push it yourself.
Right.
So you're going to build your audience up from the day and onto the next few weeks, and then. When you're talking to people, you're always thinking, you might be tweeting about something. You go, oh, well, I did a Scicomm Monday broadcast, and you just send them the URL, and there's another viewer.
Exactly. Yeah. And for me, too, I always like being able to have people kind of have like that online CV. Yeah. Where you can see things about their work and stuff. Yeah. It's just a good way that they can then send it to like maybe a potential advisor that they want to work with, or someone who's looking for a job. Say, hey, look at
I'll tell you a tip that I'm really bad at, and I keep tipping myself, but I never take my own tips, and that is bookmark everything on your phone, because you've not always got your laptop with you. And I was sat there this morning, and all of a sudden I wanted to do a tweet about something, and I didn't have what I wanted on my phone. It was all on my laptop. So just make sure that you cross over. If you've got images that you're going to use constantly in tweets that you really use as backups, and you repeat stuff, make sure that those are backed up to your phone, and likewise all your bookmarks that you really want to refer back to. So things like broadcasts that you might want to be telling people about, blogs that you've written that you refer to a lot. Make sure that these are bookmarks so you can easily access them and stick them on the tweet there and then.
Yeah, I really like that idea. Like, I need to do more of that. Like, I will save images and stuff onto, say, my photo roll on my camera or on my phone. But yeah, I need to do more of the bookmarks and stuff. Yeah. Hey there, out there. Glad you can join us. And if anyone has any questions and stuff about science communication or the conference here in Lansing, we're at a ornithology conference, AOS SCO 2017 here. Feel free to ask any questions. But one thing I was really... so what is our job, Sue? I'm a graduate student. I study invasive mute swan here in Michigan, and then Steve is...
I run the British Ornithologists Union over in the UK, and an important part of that, I would say about 30% of my role is the science communication, and I do peer-to-peer education and promotion within the ornithology community.
Yep, so we're bird nerds that, like to have fun on social media and
definitely
reach out to not only other scientists but everyone else out there to spread the amazingness of the science that's happening all around us. So.
I think there's another aspect, and the word I use a lot, and other people use it within Scicomm, is community. So we have community at the research level, and where we share our research with us. But I think Jordan Rutter made a really good point at the roundtable last night, and that is the community support. Yeah. As a really active community, there's always going to be groups that get well known within the community, and they help support the community at all different levels, not just research levels. I mean, we all know what it's like being an undergrad. We all know what it's like being a postdoc. There's different pressures at different stages of your career, and you build yourself into this community and be active within it, and you'll find that you've got lots of support when you need it. So this is part of a life school or a lifestyle, that you can just build into your actual science communication and your an extension of your research.
Yeah, I've definitely found there's been a lot of people that I've met on Twitter, fellow Scicommers out there, that they're no longer just Twitter colleagues, but we've actually become friends. And it's great that if I ever have any issues, I can just direct message them, and 2 seconds later I'm going to have an answer back from them.
Exactly.
And it really does help you get through some of the stresses of science that there can be.
Yeah.
So.
And I've noticed a really big shift in the last sort of year, maybe to 2 years, in that I use the direct messenger on Twitter almost as much as I use email now.
Yeah, definitely.
Apart from it being a live chat media, you've actually got a constant conversation going with individuals, whether it's about your work or whether it's about supporting or mentoring, so that's been a big change, and I know others have said the same to me.
Yeah.
That they're constantly using the direct button on your feed in your Twitter account, and and that's when you make more personal contact with people.
Yeah, exactly. If I see an email, I'm not as likely to answer it as what I am a DM. Like, I'm gonna answer the direct message right away. So one thing that we kind of have been talking about maybe a little bit is next steps to make science communication through social media. Hello there from France. Good to, or French. We don't necessarily know if they're from
That's right.
France.
That's
yeah,
right.
You could be French and not necessarily be from France.
They could be both French in France. Yeah.
Yep. Or elsewhere. So
Yeah.
we met someone who was actually originally from Madagascar, who technically is French. So,
Exactly.
yeah. But it's taking those next steps to make it more prominent here, because within our Scicomm community, there's a lot, and there's like some fringe Scicommers that know what it is we do and kind of understand it, but how do we get it out to the attendees here? And one of the ideas that we were thinking of is having a plenary of where we can reach everyone at once, because it's very easy just to have a symposium, and there's other symposiums you want to go to, but if you had the plenary, you're reaching that entire audience.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's something that I've been working towards this last 12 months or so, probably following the Washington meeting, and that is that, in Washington, NAOC 2016, there was probably less than 3% of the people there were on social media. So you're in a very small bubble,
right.
and it's just like some research groups end up in their own small bubble, and they tend to just spend most of the time with each other. That's great for their research, and it's great that we've got this little bubble, but we actually want to encourage more people to come in, and we want to educate the wider, not just the wider community, but if we educate the wider community about Scicomm, they're going to then pass that on, and it's going to extend outside of the community. So
right.
how we do that, because obviously we've got to engage these people face to face at conferences like this. We've got to get through in less so in print these days, but most people have digital newsletters dropping into their inboxes,
right.
or they have RSS feeds. So we're going to have to start using more platforms off social media to tell them about social media. AUS and BOU did something just before the conference about 6 weeks ago. We did a joint newsletter which promoted this event. It promoted social media at this event and wider than that. And that went out to 12,000 people around the world. So clearly, our remit is not just about the conferences and things that we're all going to. We've got a wider remit, and we want to extend this communication as wide as we can.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I think, if you can have that audience that's so just tuned into what it is you're saying, you're more likely to reach them. And I think it also, by saying having a plenary, it really adds validity to what it is that.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I think if we can hopefully, if we can get a plenary in Tucson next year, that would be immense. It really would. And the speed at which we've gone from pretty much zero to fast lane
right.
would be terrific. But if we don't get it next year, we just build on this year, because
right.
the coverage that we've done this year is vastly improved on last year. I think we whilst that bar is always the highest bar is the plenary level.
Right.
If we don't get there for a couple of years, I think that's no big deal, because as long
it's
as we
not
grow,
like we've lost anything, because we're still moving along that way.
We're just aiming for that prize. We're never going to lose,
right.
people.
Yeah.
Do not worry about that. We will not lose. Because I had a conversation just before doing this broadcast about print media, about journals in print. So Ibis Journal, Orc and Condor with the AOS. These are all still in print, and the next couple of years we're going to see all of these journals that people traditionally took in print. They're going to disappear. They're going to be online only. And that's I know for a fact. IBIS Journal from the BOU goes globally through institutes around the world, but we know that 98% of people are already accessing it digitally, so the
right.
print element is dying. So it will be gotten rid of at some point. It's just a process that we're going through. So once we lose a lot of this print media, we only have digital left. So those people that are reluctant to move on to digital, they're either they'll never come and take part in science communication, or they'll come on and they're going to have to embrace it, because that is where they're at.
Well, it's kind of like how 25 years ago you had email that started popping up.
Yeah.
And now you can't function in the scientific world if you don't know how to email. Exactly. And integrate into the community that way. And I have a feeling like science communication through social media is going to be that next step. If you don't know how to engage with your fellow scientist on Twitter, well, all of a sudden you're going to be left out of the bubble.
I think that's a really good analogy. And if you look, I mean, I remember I had email at home before we had it at the institute that I currently worked at the time, and the director, me and my boss would email each other at home, and we would print it out and we would put it in our bags, and we would take the printouts into work the next day. And one of our directors saw an email printout on my desk, and he said, "What's this?" And I said, "That's email." "Oh, that'll never catch on," he said. This is a guy at the time that couldn't even use a fax machine either.
Oh,
so,
my goodness.
But hey, we all live by email, and there's a significant number of people, and in particular people of your generation, Nicole, mid-20s and under, everything is digital. The laptops are disappearing for tablets, and iPhones and smartphones are getting bigger. That's another big thing. I came over from Europe where the plus-size phones are in the minority, and over here everybody's got a plus-size phone. But we're in the US, so everything's bigger. So it will change, and it's gonna happen fast. It's gonna happen faster. We said right at the beginning how fast things do change, but I think it's just getting faster and faster.
Oh yeah, it's like I think of things from just last year already seem out of date now, and it's even my phone here. Someone out there is 12 years old and speaks a little English. Well, it's great. I'm glad you could join in. So, hi.
If you want to ask a question, just ask away. We'll answer anything that you want.
Yeah, we like being able to do outreach to all ages and everywhere around the world. That's a nice thing with Periscope, is anyone can be watching, and then, like you said, watch the replay later if they weren't able to catch it in the first place.
Well, you talk. I mean, this is the lady who does outreach all the time with her niece and nephew.
Yeah,
she's brilliant. So if you don't follow her on Twitter and you don't see all that, I mean, that is just ace.
Well, it helps I've got a really awesome niece and nephew who are so game for going out and doing all that science fun with me. So I've got a 7-year-old niece who can go out and check camera traps and knows how to work all of that and everything.
That's just unbelievable. I did with my niece last year, or maybe a bit longer. Their class was set a homework project on badgers, and badgers in the UK. There's this big problem with bovine TB and badgers spreading it, and there's this terrible cull that's going on by the politicians against the research community, because the research community don't advise a cull at all, so that the politicians aren't following the science.
Right.
So my 10-year-old niece said to me, "Let's do it. We've got to do a badger project." So everybody else rocked up a week later with badgers are cute, badgers are black and white, and she rocked up with badgers and bovine TB.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like my niece had something similar where she wanted to write up a project about spider monkeys, and so I tweeted out to the community out there. I was like, who knows anything about spider monkeys, and we'd be willing to talk to a first grader about it. And I got some great responses, and one of the Scicommers out there was really amazing with answering all of my niece's questions. And about a month later, I went back over to her house and got to see this report, and there was stuff in there I didn't know. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's amazing.
That is brilliant.
Yeah,
and a friend of ours, Jordan Rutter, and she works for the AOS here, running their Scicomm. And she was at a bird camp running up to coming out to the conference, and right at the beginning of bird camp she puts out a Twitter message, ornithology friends, feed in, what can you advise these bird campers to do, blah blah, and a load of us sort of instantly messaged back saying, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is the fun that we get out of it. Ken Kaufman came on, so these guys went crazy.
Yeah,
King
we
Ken.
got someone of that status level within the ornithology community coming on and helping out. Yeah, and that's the thing too. That I really like about Twitter is you can have someone who's that first year undergrad or even younger, and you've got this old seasoned scientist out there, and they're communicating and talking. I think it really takes away some of those, like, I don't know if you would want to call it, like, you know, status levels or something, but like those just career levels within science. It kind of like just wipes those away a little bit.
It breaks them down completely. And I'm exactly the same. I mean, look at me. You know, I'm the grey-haired one here. You know, and I'm the one in the UK, and I've been coming over here doing Scicomm, and I am pretty much the only one at my level in our community, but there are no levels, and this is the thing. This is the thing. You know, it's just an age, and I've just been doing it a little longer than most people, and it doesn't matter because we all feed off each other and we all learn, and you know, as I said, the difference between this time last year in Washington. You know, we've doubled the community, we've doubled the outreach, people are better informed about what we're doing and what we're doing it for, you know, and that is slowly permeating through the society level. And I mean, the great thing about the round table last night was there was people even older than me in the audience.
Yeah, that was so awesome. It was great to see them like really wanting to engage in it. And you know, and there was I remember the workshop last year, there was a professor in there that was very skeptical, and like, you know, it was almost like, give me an excuse to be able to yell at my grad students for being on Twitter.
I remember that. I remember that,
And there was none of that this year. It was all like, this is something that we see the value in, please teach us.
Well, I've had one older research that right at the beginning of the week he was talking. He came to our symposia. He spoke to me afterwards, and he was adamant that he couldn't do it. He said, "I haven't got the time. He wasn't that old that he couldn't do it. It was just a time issue." And I just sat down with him this morning, and he said, "Look, Steve, I'm actually going to have to do it." You know, I went to the round table last night. I listened to what you said. I've looked back at some of the stuff that you've got online. I'm going to have to do it myself because I've got a lead on it. So we sat down, and over 10 minutes we sketched out a handle for him on Twitter, some hashtags that he wants to use, and he's going to go away and do it next week, and his lab's going to have a Twitter account.
Awesome.
You know,
so
if I only get that one connection like that, that's a week worth spent. But I think we've done way more than that.
For sure.
I think we've got lots of people coming on board.
Yeah, I've had a number of folks come up and say, yes, we do need to have a Twitter handle and do it. I even had someone, Brody from Queen's University, he's like, yeah, I have a Twitter handle, but I really haven't used it much. And I was like, well, you got to start using it again. And so right there, he pulled up his phone, got on Twitter, followed me, and now he's going to be back on and using it in a way that's going to help benefit, because he's a brand new grad student and being able to benefit his career down the road.
Exactly. Yeah. So if I go back to NAOC again last year, the very first person I met in Washington last year, I just arrived at the hotel, I sat at the bar, I turned left, there was a guy with a conference badge on. I said, "Hi, I'm Steve." "Hi, I'm Eric." Asked what we did. I said, "I'm a science communicator," and I saw his eyes glaze over, and he said, "Oh dear." And he said, "You know, I've got a Twitter account, but I've only ever sent one tweet." So I got my phone out, we found his Twitter account, and there was his tweet, and it was about a paper. So I retweeted it. And on the back of that, we had a discussion about altmetrics. Rather bizarrely, there was a woman from Wiley appeared and sat next to us, heard us talking about altmetrics. She said, oh, we do altmetrics. I'm part of the altmetric team at Wiley. So we had a little bit of a wider conversation than he probably planned, or even I planned. And he then started understanding a little bit more about where social media fits into research.
Exactly.
And on the back of that conversation, what we were able to do is you know, he said, "Look, one of my biggest problems is I can't get my students to read what's on the reading list for the course."
Right.
So I said, well, why don't you set them a challenge based on social media? Give them a reading list and say that for at least one of these items, you've got to go out and source it from social media, and you have to show them the digital trail of where you went, what you looked for, how you found it, and then what you digested from it.
I like that.
And now, this year, he's actually got a module on his course based around that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that is just fantastic.
That is so cool. Yeah. Man. See, and it's all there's so many little things that you can use social media for. It's all just, I mean, it can spread out in so many different directions for things. So, well, I mean, as much as I would love to keep talking with you, because I know we could talk about this all day for many, many days, and we have before.
We have.
So, but we're going to have to cut this short because, well, not really short. We've been going for a while now. So
three quarters of an hour probably. So.
But we've got other things we got to do. I've got someone else coming in for interview here shortly. Mark from Condor and Auk. It's Condor and Auk,
He's
right?
Auk.
Oh, just Auk. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's what happens when I go on such little sleep. They all just kind of start to blend together after a while. So, but yeah, we'll be talking to him probably in about 15, 20 minutes once we get everything set up and make sure we go find him and get him back here where I've got everything set up. But yeah, if you've got any questions about social media and how it can help you and benefit your career, for sure, definitely talk to Steve at your handle,
around,
which
so
is
at Steve Dudley _ or you can go to the Institute account, which is at IBIS_journal.
And then you can always talk to me either via the Scicomm Monday handle or at my personal handle of Wildlife BioGal. And then for sure, go out and check out all the amazing stuff that's been happening at the conference here. It's the hashtag AOS SEO17. And so see all the fun that we've been having this week. See how the social media community is here as far as within the science greater community. And
if you're on Twitter and you want to see more about bird research, use the hashtag ornithology.
Yes,
there are
correct.
hundreds of people on there every single day. It's a really active hashtag.
Yeah. So yeah, go check out all that. Have fun with that little set of homework that we just gave you to do. And like we said, if you have any questions, always feel free to contact us. And especially for those of you who are watching this on replay later, definitely contact us because we always like talking and helping out people. So
try stop us talking.
Right, pretty much. We're gonna have to like shut the broadcast like mid-sentence here. Yes. So
bye, folks.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day.